everyone, it's me, Roxanne, and I'm back today with a brand new video featuring the Singer Quantum Stylus 9960. Recently, I shared a video which was part one on what gathers are, and I shared my favorite gathering technique. In this video, I'll be sharing two more gathering techniques. One, I'll be showing you how to use a very unexpected presser foot that came with your Singer 9960. And the second is a technique I learned from a sewing machine operator years ago when I worked in a factory. Here I am at the front LCD screen of the machine, and the technique that I'm going to show you how to use uses a zigzag stitch. So we're going to press this button, and then we're going to edit the zigzag stitch. We're going to narrow the width of the stitch down to 4.0 and leave the length at 2.0. This technique is a hack where you zigzag over dental floss and then later you pull it to create the gathers. The only drawback is that while you're zigzagging, if you happen to stitch through the dental floss, you won't be able to pull it later and gather it in. So I'm going to show you a presser foot that came with the 9960 that we can use for this operation that will help us not ever nick the dental floss. The presser foot I'm going to use is the cording foot. And the reason why I use this foot is because there's three little channels in the front of this presser foot. And I'm going to guide the dental floss through the center one so that when we go to zigzag, it zigzags over very nicely and it has no chance of catching the dental floss. So we're going to remove the general purpose foot and snap on the cording foot. And now that my machine stitch is set up and my presser foot is installed, go ahead and pull out a length of dental floss and tie a knot on the end. Now we're going to feed the dental floss into that channel and into the second notch, which is the center one. Just pull that in place like that. Then we're going to take that and put it underneath the presser foot with the threads to the back. Now I have my same poly cotton woven blend that I do all my demos on, and I've gone ahead and marked the seam line. So we're going to take the presser foot, or before we put the presser foot down, we're going to put the needle down, which is the left zigzag, right on the seam line. And then we're going to stitch. Go ahead and start stitching along and let your left zigzag hit the stitching line as you move along. You notice while I'm stitching along here, I'm not even really guiding the dental floss at all because I know that I can count on my presser foot to guide it in the position that it needs to be in. Pull out a little bit more dental floss. And this may gather up a little bit behind the presser foot, and that's perfectly fine. So when you get to the end, pick up your needle, and we're going to trim those off, just like that. Now, and you can see how when you pull the dental floss, how it very easily pulls in and gathers the fabric nicely. This is a great technique for really long gathers, long pieces that you'll be gathering. The first thing that I do is I find my center marks and I match them together and I put a pin. Then I'll go to the end and I will match the ends up together and I'll put another pin. And then I'll start pulling the dental floss in and evenly distribute the gathers across neatly. And then when I know I've pulled it in enough, I'll take these two end threads, the upper thread first, and then the bobbin thread, and I'll pull them tight, and that'll secure them in place. It locks them down nicely. Now I'll evenly distribute it, and I'll put a couple more pins, and then I'll go ahead and do the other side off camera. Now the last step before I start to stitch is I will take an iron and I will iron all of these gathers into place. It makes it easier when you do this for sewing and for finishing off this edge. See how nice and flat it is now? Just another sewing tip. Here I am ready to sew the seam, and I have my general purpose foot back on the machine, and my machine is set to a straight stitch default setting. So place the fabric underneath, and we're going to ride where the left needle of the zigzag hits. Keep everything straight as you go. Take your pins out along the way. I never run over pins with my electronic machines because a needle strike can be catastrophic and can throw the timing off of your machine, and that's not a problem that any of us need. Just take your time. Keep everything steady. Come to the end, and remember, don't stop in order to do your back stitch like I did. And there is your seam, nice and even and neatly done. And you see the black thread just a little bit. However, if you had used a matching thread, you wouldn't have even seen it at all. The last technique requires you to edit your stitch length all the way up to 5.0, which is the longest. Go back and tighten your upper thread tension as tight as it'll go. This technique requires you to take the upper thread here and hold it, not tight, but just give it a little bit of restriction as you sew. I've gone ahead and put the regular general purpose foot A back on, and I'm going to place my fabric under my presser foot, and I'm going to start to sew, and I'm going to hold my upper thread like I told you. And the thread behind it will just start to gather really nicely. I'll go ahead and leave my tails long so that I can pull them a little bit more. But this is just another quick method of gathering that's so easy and can be done quickly. Now, if you want to continue with this way, you would go back and pick up on my first demo where I matched my markings, evened out all of my gathers, locked it in by pulling the top stitch, pinning, pressing, and then I would stitch right on this line. Easy peasy. Thank you for stopping by today and watching my latest video, which is part 2 of Perfect Gathering Secrets. In part 1, I geared that video more toward the new sewist that may be learning about gathers and need a very simple technique. In this video, I shared 2 more advanced techniques that I thought you'd find interesting. So please hit that bell and subscribe to my channel and share this video with your friends. And as always, have a happy creative day. Bye now.